What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me today on our live post-practice chat. My name is Andy Herman. You can follow me on Twitter at Andy Herman NFL. You can find the podcast at Pack-A-Day Podcast. Hopefully, most of you were able to find us here on time. I did have this initially scheduled for 1:15 p.m. Central Time. We are now, of course, at 12:30 p.m. Central Time. Practice got done a heck of a lot earlier today, so wanted to get over here as quickly as I possibly could. This is why it is a great reminder to have those notifications turned on if you do not already, so that you know as soon as there is a change or anything goes live, you are able to catch it right away. But we'll get into everything. I should have about 30, maybe a little bit more, 30 minutes, a little bit more than that today to kind of go through everything. I'll kind of go over what happened at practice, a much shorter practice today. And then we'll leave some time for question and answer as well, per usual. So I'll say once again, thank you for being here. Appreciate you taking the time to join me for today's live chat. We'll start with the bad news first. It's never fun to go over bad news, but we'll get it over with. And then we'll go through some really fun stuff that happened at today's practice. 3 new injuries, 3 names you don't want to hear. Xavier McKinney was out with a calf injury. I cringe now when I hear calf injury. I think it's because of the Tyrese Halliburton, Damian Lillard calf injuries that turn into Achilles injuries. I hear calf and I'm just like, oh God, please no. And this is hopefully nothing for Xavier McKinney. More on that in just a moment. But calf injury for Xavier McKinney, he did not practice. Jaden Reed with a foot injury, he did not practice. Elton Jenkins with a back injury, he did not practice. None of those are really what you want to hear. We just talked about the calf for McKinney. Calves now give me the complete heebie-jeebies. I don't want anything to do with them. Foot injuries for a wide receiver, whether it's a turf toe, whether it's a plantar fasciitis, who knows? He could have just been something he got stepped on, right? But a foot injury for a wide receiver, really any of these players that have to play, one of the speed positions, is not what you want to hear. And then back injuries for anyone that's, seen, followed, or even had a back injury themselves, they tend to linger sometimes. We know nothing. We did not hear from Matt. These all could be much ado about nothing. They all could be something. We just don't know at this point in time. It is worth noting that we are a couple days out from a preseason game. It does sound like the starters are going to play a bit in this game. Matt kind of reiterated that today and said that, he's trying to get all 4 of his quarterbacks in and those sort of things. So it does sound like the starters are going to play. Kenny Clark said something similar in the locker room yesterday. But if you had any sort of even just a little bit banged up for these guys, not only do you, of course, not play them in the game, but you give them that extra couple days to rest as well. So you give them off a Thursday practice. That's going to be a very light practice anyway. It went just like an hour and 20 minutes. But if you take the stretching away, the actual practice portion was basically about an hour. So you give them that day off. You give them Friday off. You give them Saturday off. Then I think they have Sunday and Monday off. And you give them almost a week to rest any sort of little ailments, right? So if there is anything that's even slightly bothering those guys, giving them the day off probably made a ton of sense. Hopefully this is more just precautionary, preventative, and giving them some extra days here and there. But it is worth noting nonetheless, Xavier McKinney, Jaden Reed, and Elton Jenkins all did not practice on, today, just a couple hours ago. There were a couple other players, of course, that did not practice as well. Rasheed Walker continued to be out with his groin injury. Emmanuel Wilson with a knee. Dontavian Wicks with a calf. Nate Hobbs with his knee injury. Kamal Haddon with a hip. Marshawn Lloyd with a groin. Christian Watson with a knee. Colin Oliver with a hamstring. And John Williams with a back injury. Keyshawn Nixon also did not do any team drills. I would assume that probably is going to take him out of Saturday's game as well. One return, Aaron Mosby did return to team drills. It sounded like he did a little bit of individual drills yesterday, but he did do full team drills, well, at least some team drills out there for the limited amount of team drills that actually took place through the course of the day. One sort of interesting note that I just think is really not only interesting, but it's remarkable at this point. The starting corner opposite Carrington Valentine today was Bo Melton. Now, Nate Hobbs out right now. Keyshawn Nixon did not do team drills. It took Kamal Haddon out as well. It could have easily been Kamal Haddon in that spot. So there are a few corners that are out at the moment. But you could put Kalen King there. You could put Corey Ballantyne there. Isaiah Dunn has literally played snaps in the NFL in regular season games out at corner. But who gets the nod at that spot? Bo Melton. In the fact that he looks good. The fact that he looks the part, he's not completely swimming and lost out there. It's really an unbelievable storyline from wide receiver his entire career up until this point. I mean, a couple years ago, he was the first receiver on the team to, go over 100 yards as a wide receiver. Last year it took a little bit of a lower, I would say, just opportunity, like didn't have as many reps out on the field. Core special teamer. They're a little bit low at corners in mini camp and OTAs. I think it was the final 3-day mini camp. And they asked him and they talked to him about switching over to corner just to kind of see how it goes. He switches over. But at that point, they make the point to say, hey, Bo is a wide receiver, but he's just, he's taking some reps at corner. He's still a wide receiver. Wide receiver next to his name, still wearing number 80. This was a wide receiver that was just moonlighting as a corner. Training camp comes along, and we immediately get the note, he's a corner. He's a corner. He's listed as a corner on the roster. He's wearing number 16. We're doing a full makeover of Bo Melton at this point. And you're wondering, like, is this going to be the kiss of death? Like, usually these position changes do not go well. We know they love him on special teams. We know he can be still at worst an emergency wide receiver if you need him to be, but he's making a full-fledged change here. Let me kick this douche out of chat really quick here. There we go. Easy enough. He makes the full-fledged change. Is that going to be the kiss of death? Is he going to be able to continue to play, and actually make a team? And now he's out there, full-time corner, getting reps with the ones today. And it's not like they're able to just attack him. Like, he looks good. He's making plays. The other day, he made a great pass breakup on Malik Heath. It's really impressive to see just how far Bo Melton has come in such a short period of time. I talked about it the other day. Matt Schneidman wrote in one of his articles where it's looking more and more like Melton is a lock to make this team. I still think that's, again, for my blood, like slightly aggressive to say lock, but he is very clearly trending in that direction. And it has been remarkably impressive what he's been able to do at corner thus far. All right, let's get into some of the key plays. We're basically going to stick with mostly the red zone period because that was most of the team activities. Again, for those who were not here earlier, just a little over an hour for practice today. Red zone activities start. Jordan Love immediately hits Matthew Golden on a crosser. Javon Bullard trailing on the play. I didn't see if it was man or zone or if like he came across and Bullard was just trying to make up for whatever happened at the end of it. But Bullard was the one closest and Golden came around in a crosser. Love hit him, goes in for the touchdown. Nice play and connection from Love to Golden on that play. Then comes what I thought was the most absurd play of the day. I don't know if you can have an offensive play of the day that ends in an incompletion, but if you can, this is the one. Let's start by saying complete or incomplete. It doesn't really matter. It's a practice. We're not keeping score at home of like who actually got the most points or anything like that. There's no competition like that going on. It ultimately doesn't really matter whether or not it was. What you're looking for is process. What you're looking for is playmaking ability, all those things. So in a game, I would say it's just an incompletion. It's a loud, exciting incompletion, but just an incompletion. In practice, I don't care about that aspect of it as much, but I care about everything that happened up into it because that matters a whole heck of a lot more. This play from Jordan Love to Tucker Kraft is beyond the point of absurd. It was one of the more remarkable plays that I have seen, covering the Packers, period. We've seen these plays from Aaron Rodgers in the past where you've got the tight end going up the seam, the linebackers got him, but the linebackers got their head turned, and Love will kind of put it past the ear hole of the linebacker, and the tight end has that opportunity to make the play, right? Or maybe the tight end can come back to it, get contact, or whatever the case may be. The audacity of Jordan to even think about, not attempt the throw, to think about attempting this throw is off the charts to begin with. Then the even beyond audacity to actually throw it, thinking that there's a chance to make this. Kraft is not only like up the seam, he's now back of the end zone, kind of facing the quarterback, and Quay Walker is face guarding him in his way. And remember, this is not like a Sam Mills 5'10", linebacker here. Quay is a big dude. Quay is marked up man-to-man on Tucker Kraft. It's also in the back of the end zone. There's no space. When I've described plays before in the realm of there is a football sized hole. Like you literally have to fit the football in that football sized hole to get it into that window. There's no window. It does not exist. But Jordan decides to throw it past the ear hole of Quay Walker, outside of it, basically knowing that the only way that this is going to be complete is if Tucker at the last moment sticks out his hand and makes the most ridiculous one-handed catch in the world. So that's what Tucker Kraft did. And that's what Jordan Love did. Jordan Love throws it past the ear hole of Quay Walker, buzzes past his head. Tucker Kraft at the last moment, well covered. Again, some contact here too. It's not like he's just chilling in the back of the end zone. He's well covered on the play. Props out a hand at the last moment, grabs it in, unreal one-handed catch. And unfortunately, it is ever so slightly out of bounds. It looked like it was close. The offense celebrated like they just won the Super Bowl. And I know there's going to be some Bears fans that's going to aggravate this and like, oh, look, the Packers fans, the biggest day of Jordan Love's career was not career, but the biggest play of the day was an incompletion and Packers fans are going nuts. Whatever. I don't care about any of you. What I'm trying to say here is that the throw is absurd. The accuracy of the throw is insane. The audacity of it is amazing. The one-handed pluck by Tucker Kraft, out of this world, all of it. And even the coverage by Quay Walker. What you want more often than not, right, is good on good. We say so often in a practice when you're going against your own team, you've got, if the offense does something good, means the defense did something bad. If the defense does something bad, or the defense does something good, if the offense did something bad. This was basically good all the way around, other than the fact that it was just ever so slightly out of the end zone. But unreal coverage, unreal throw, unreal catch, and just a really fun play. And the loudest, most fun incompletion that you could ever possibly have. So yes, I'm giving the play of the day to the offense on an incompletion, as absurd as that might be, but I'm doing it anyway because it was that unbelievable of a play overall. All right, what else do we have? So Golden on the crosser for a touchdown. Love to Kraft for, I don't even care. I'm just calling it a touchdown because it was, I'm just awarding points for it. We're outside of the realm of football and I'm just awarding it 7 points. That's how this is working at this point. You then had Love drop back to pass again. Savion Williams is open over the middle of the field, and he finds him. Good coverage again, or at least like solid coverage by Cooper. He's right there, but Jordan throws it to the outside shoulder of Savion Williams. Williams goes and gets it, plucks it out of the air. He gets a touchdown. Then Love buys time in the pocket again, and Matthew Golden comes open in the back of the end zone. Love leads him a little bit. Golden makes a diving play going to the ground and makes a really fun completion for a touchdown on that play. Then you get another red zone play. They're closer to the end zone in this particular play. And they go, everyone wants to hear more about Jordan Love running the ball and things like that. They go speed option. Now, you might say it's not really fair because Jordan is wearing the red jersey. Well, again, we're just playing like two-hand touch at this point, right? So, if anyone even comes close to Jordan, this play is going to be down. But Jordan runs a speed option, fakes the pitch. Everyone goes outside. He keeps it inside. He gets a rushing touchdown on a speed option play. That's a really fun play. Willis gets some time then in red zone. He fires a out route to Julian Hicks. Julian Hicks makes a diving extended play. That was another one where that was the only place that ball could have been because there was a very tight window between the defender and the pylon, basically, or the corner of the end zone. And Willis fits that in there, and Hicks goes and makes a play. We talked about it yesterday. Hicks makes a play every single day in practice, pretty much. That was another great example of it. We move out of red zone period. It's more of a move the ball period. Jordan gets in, drives the team into the red zone again. And one of the more beautiful plays of the day, Jordan check, can at the line, gets a read from the defense, sees Romeo Doubs on the left side of the field. I think might have been Ballantyne in coverage. I didn't catch it for sure. I think it was Ballantyne in coverage, but throws a perfect, and I mean picture perfect, fade to Romeo Doubs right in the corner of the end zone. Pretty good coverage by Ballantyne, but Doubs is able to get his hands out. There might have been like a slight bobble. I couldn't tell, but either way, Doubs secures the catch, gets his feet in, and it's another big play by Romeo Doubs, who has just been on an absolute heater at training camp as of late, and Jordan Love was on an insane heater at practice overall today. A really gorgeous red zone period, and then that final red zone play from Jordan Love to Romeo Doubs. You had, again, Golden on the crosser touchdown, Kraft, I'm awarding points for. Savion for a touchdown. Golden diving catch touchdown. Speed option touchdown. Willis to Hicks, and then Love to Dobbs in that red zone off of the move the ball period. Really, really fun stuff. There was a little bit of a period kind of in between some of the red zone and the move the ball where the defense did show up really on 3 consecutive plays. You had a sack by Rashawn Gary, who beat Jordan Morgan on the play. Then you had what was a coverage sack. I didn't see who ultimately converged on Jordan on that play, but it didn't really matter who the player was. You weren't really giving credit to the defensive lineman anyway, because it was purely a coverage sack on that play. But they had everyone blanketed. And then eventually I think Jordan hit like a check down or something, but it pretty clearly would have been a sack. And then on the next play, you had another play in coverage where the defense had perfect coverage. Jordan had to try to buy time. The pocket collapsed again. Kenny Clark ended up with the sack on that particular play. So there was some good stuff from the defense as well. But anything in the red zone on this day where things really tighten up and it's a really difficult time, Jordan was on a heater, tore him apart, and then one really nice one from Malik Willis as well. We started with bad news. We had a lot of good news, a little bit of bad news at the end. Brandon McManus, human after all. 2 missed kicks on the day, 2 missed field goals. It's all over. It's the streak, the unbelievable kicking. We're back to normal. Bring Greg Joseph back. He just got cut. I think Braden Narvison's still out there. Bring the crew back. We got to get the competition back going. I say very much in jest, but yes, Brandon McManus did miss 2 field goals for the day. All right. Those are the key takeaways. Of course, I will fill you in with everything that happened. I'll be honest, there's not a ton more. I might add a little bit of an extra topic on top of it as well if I feel like I need to. But with an hour plus practice, these were kind of the main things that happened throughout the course of the day at practice today. I will get to some of your questions over the course of the next 15 or 20 minutes or so. We'll start with any super chats we got here. So we've got Fatal Massacre, who's been a member for 2 months. Appreciate that. Go Pack Go. Matthew Golden is going to be special. He's certainly off to a great start. I tweeted it out. Those wide receivers, Golden and Williams, those guys can play. And, if you remember back when Goody came out on day 2 for his press conference, he was as surprised as anybody that they had 2 wide receiver selections in their first 3 picks through day 2 of the draft. And you could just tell the value for both of those players was far too good to pass up on. Golden in the first round, Savion Williams in the third. That's looking like a very smart decision at the moment. These 2 wide receivers can play. I think they're going to have an impact on your 2025 Green Bay Packers. And it's just a great example of trusting your board, sticking to it, regardless of whether or not it's a position of need or whatever. If you got great players on the board, you take them, you trust it. And so far that's working out very well for Green Bay. Craig has a statement rather than a question. So excited for what I think we will see from Kraft this year. His mentality is A+++. And I think he's taken even a bigger step this year. Top 5 tight end in the league. That's the hope. He has every right to be as good as he wants to be at that position. He has the skill set. I do think he's in for a big year. We'll take it obviously one step at a time, but he has all the potential in the world to be one of the top tight ends in this league. All right, I'm not there, so correct me if I'm wrong, but from the tweets I've seen, it feels like Aaron Banks has had a struggle to start camp. LA Knight enthusiast, yeah. I talked to Paul Brettel along the sidelines. Maybe Spoff might have been there as well, but I have no feel for Aaron Banks yet. He might be great. He might be bad. I just don't know. I wish I had a better update for you. I will say, some of the trenches, it's really difficult. I watched a little bit of Anthony Belton and I watched a little bit of Jordan Morgan today just to try to get a feel a little bit more for some of those players. But as I've talked about in the past, if you're watching a play and you focus in on one player, you're missing 21 other players that are doing stuff at the same time. And you're usually better off taking a broad view and seeing what pops out to you on the play and noting those things, because you can usually catch 3 or 4 things on the play rather than honing in on one player where something might not happen at all with that player. Like for instance, yesterday I watched, who was it? Nazir Stackhouse. I watched Nazir Stackhouse because he got a rep with the ones. So I'm like, all right, Nazir Stackhouse is in there against the number 1 offensive line. Let's see what this guy can do. And I watched Nazir Stackhouse on that play, and he does a twist to the outside. And by the time he even remotely gets to that twist, the ball is out of the quarterback's hands or Love's hands. And I don't even remember what happened on that play, but I probably missed a couple of things that actually did happen on that play because I was trying to focus in on Nazir Stackhouse. So to try to sit and, just diagnose Aaron Banks all the time, that's a it's just something that you don't really tend to do, I guess, or in this case, at least I tend to do. I've seen him get beat a couple of times, no question about it. I've seen him open up a couple holes just by happenstance, kind of watching the play. But I do not have a feel at this point for like, wow, this is an unbelievable signing, or this isn't looking so great. I think it's probably fine. I think it's probably somewhere in the middle, but I don't think we're going to get a feel for that until the actual regular season starts. All right, a non-football question from Brett. Andy, what kind of music are you into? Any favorite genres or artists? A lot of hip hop, a lot of rap, a lot of indie rock as well. So I'm going to 2 concerts coming up, going to LCD Sound System next week, then going to Oasis the week after that. A lot of J. Cole in the playlist, a little bit of ASAP Rocky. What else? A lot of Kendrick Lamar in the playlist is what you'll get up to. Then you'll get like, Bon Iver and a lot of like indie rock artists, Death Cab for Cutie, things like that. So it's a little bit all over the place. Pretty much no country unless it's Johnny Cash. But other than that, pretty open on the playlist. And you will get some wild things, like you'll get a playlist where if it's playing some of my favorite stuff, it'll go like LCD Sound System, Kendrick Lamar, Joanna Newsom, like ASAP Rocky. Like it could be like the weirdest set of circumstances on that playlist, period. So it's a little bit all over the place, but I absolutely love it. Hello from Newcastle. Thanks for all your work covering the training camp. It's been a lovely evening watch for me each night. Appreciate that, Bradley, and thanks so much for tuning in. Ed made it live once again. Thanks for what you do, Andy, and all the best from the Netherlands. This is awesome. We got UK, we've got Netherlands in here. This is amazing. You guys rule. How has Elton Jenkins looked at center? He was out today. Also, do you think this offense could make packages with Malik Willis and option plays, or is it too easy to sniff out for a defense? I don't know that you want to pull in Malik Willis for option plays. If Malik Willis is in because Jordan is out, you can absolutely build that in the offense. They did mention, Matt mentioned this the other week, I want to say, that they did have some plays for Malik Willis in the offense last year. There was one play, I think it was against Chicago, where Jordan did line up at wide receiver and Malik Willis was in at quarterback. So they do have some stuff, put in play for that. Yes, but I wouldn't, we maybe get like 2 plays of that all year at best. So unless he's actually out there starting. So could they? Yes. Are they going to bake anything in the offense of anything legitimate out of it? Probably not, nor probably should they. And so I'll just leave it at that. As far as Elton's looked really good at center so far, but again, out today from practice. Go Pack Go from Boise, Idaho. So we've got Boise, Idaho, the Netherlands, and Newcastle. That's a great trio. Haven't heard a word about Barron Sorrell at this camp. How has he been? I would just say solid. I have not seen anything spectacular, sort of flash off the field from him. He's one of the players I'm going to be keeping an extra eye on in preseason this week. This is where it's going to be very fun to have all 22. A lot of stuff that happens in the trenches is very tough to keep track of. I'll be going through the all 22 with a fine tooth comb as soon as it comes out, and we'll have an update for you guys on how guys like Barron Sorrell and, Aaron Banks, if he plays, and Anthony Belton, Jordan Morgan, how those guys look once we actually get that all 22 tape and can get a better look at those guys. How big of a difference is there between Melton and Haddon? Well, the first thing I would say is they're different corners. Haddon is a bigger, more physical corner. Melton, as you can guess, he's not like finesse always has a bad term to it, but he's got more of the movement ability and the change of direction and kind of the speed along with it as well. So 2 very different types of corners. But I think that kind of is what goes into it. I think Haddon's just, again, a little bit better at this point in time because he's been playing corner longer, but man, Melton's gaining on him fast. And some of the stuff that Melton is doing right now is pretty impressive to watch. Seems like Romeo has a fire lit and could have a really good season. Do you think he has any chance being back next year? Or do you think the 2 drafted wide receivers solidify his exit? He has looked fantastic. I'm really excited to see. Sometimes a contract year will do that to a player. I'm very intrigued to see what happens in this wide receiver room because Watson and Dobbs are really interesting pieces. If Wicks and Reed and Savion and Golden just look fantastic, I mean, there's really no need to go give big contracts to Watson and to Dobbs at that standpoint. And it could end up in a situation where they actually like Watson a little bit more and he's cheaper because of all the injuries and coming off of an injury. So that's a possibility as well. If I'm betting hard, cold cash on it today, I'm betting that Romeo is not back with the team. I've talked about this a little bit, but the number one thing for Romeo is if he can really, truly become Jordan's go-to guy, like Jordy or Devontae were for Aaron or, Sterling early on was to Brett, if he becomes that guy, where that's his safety valve is, that he looks to in key situations, it's really difficult to take that away from your starting quarterback, from the guy that he trusts the most. So if Dobbs really goes out and has a great season and he's Jordan's go-to guy, he's probably just back, because as a team, you don't want to let that guy go, because you have that rhythm and timing between quarterback and wide receiver. So I do still think there's a chance that he's back, but if I'm betting money on it today, I think he's probably playing with another team next year. But yeah, that contract year motivation can hit really hard sometimes. He looks great so far in camp. Wide receivers look good. Nowhere near the drops that we have seen in the past. I would love to get Dontavian Wicks back out there. I'd love to get, obviously, Watson out there. We know that's not going to happen during camp. But yeah, I think overall, it's been a really fun group, and I've really liked what I've seen from Golden and Savion Williams so far. Don't know why this team keeps signing wide receivers. They got so many good ones already. They'll not be able to keep. Hope Wicks gets back soon. So you have to remember, not every roster move is meant for somebody to try to make the 53-man roster. Sometimes moves are just because you need a body in camp. Sometimes moves are made because you need a guy to go out and play some preseason snaps for you. We heard from Brian Gutekunst a week ago, or his last press conference, that they usually like to get, I forget what they have right now at wide receiver. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think they have 11 wide receivers right now. Hicks, Shepard, Nair, Heath, Johnson, Hardman, Wicks, Williams, Reed, Golden, and Dobbs. That's 11. I think he said, and that's not including Watson, I think he said that he likes to be around 12 to 13 wide receivers during training camp. So it's, again, this is not right now about Nair making a 53-man spot or anything like that. Yeah, that dude's going to get cut at roster cutdowns, right? Like that's not going to be a surprise to anybody. But you also need those guys to go through drills where you're throwing to all your wide receivers with different quarterbacks, and you just need snaps in preseason. So you don't read too much into that of like, why are they signing another wide receiver? It's just to get through these preseason and training camp practices and games. Hey, Josh Jacobs, thanks so much for being here. What would a reasonable excitement level for Matthew Golden be right now out of 10? I would put mine at maybe an 8. He has had plenty of flashes, but understand there's always a rookie learning curve. Josh, you've got it right on the head. 8 can easily be a 10 eventually, but let's just let this thing breathe a little bit. Rookie wide receivers, there's always going to be that transition. And so let's just give that a little bit of a second. All right, let's see. There we go. All right. So a lot of people said that Golden's 4.29 speed didn't show up on tape in part because of Ewers. But my question is he showing explosion after the catch now? Why wasn't that there in college? Great question, Tom. Glad you bring it up. Yes, it's there. And you might ask why it wasn't there in college. I implore you to go watch his Houston tape. And I promise you, you will very quickly, very, very quickly see 4.29 speed. Sometimes these things are weird. As weird as this may sound, players on different teams and different colors, like different like numbers on the back of your jersey, these things play with our minds. I think he's faster than what, he may have looked at Texas. Well, I know he is. I don't know why it looked that way at Texas at times, but go back and watch his Houston tape and you will see it like that. You will see it when he obviously did all the testing, and you've been seeing it so far at practice for sure. So it's all there. No reason for concern whatsoever. It's practice. The question was what's going on with the injuries? Go and look at every team's, attendance right now, and you will see the same thing at every team's. It's football, guys. Like, you're having these athletes play at breakneck speeds, and there's still, even though there's not like collisions as much or things like that, there's a lot that goes into it, and there's just going to be injuries. And some of it is to make sure that these injuries do not get worse. It's preventative so that they, again, can hopefully play to start the regular season. You're trying to win games in September. You're not trying to win them right now in August. You're trying to win games in February, quite frankly. So, no, it doesn't seem like outside of, Travis Glover, who just went on IR. We know Watson's going to be out for a bit. As of right now, knock on wood, it does seem like there's nothing serious going on, and that's just kind of where you want to keep it, and hopefully that remains the case. Who do you think makes the team in the cornerback group with Ballantyne signing? I think it's just great competition. I would lean towards the top 3. I think Melton is very much trending in that direction. I think they really like Haddon, but he needs to get back practicing. And then I could see a world where it's between Ballantyne and Kalen King for that final spot. So that's where I would go right now. I think Melton and Haddon are your leaders in the clubhouse, assuming Haddon's able to get back in practice sooner rather than later. They want Bo on this team making his 53. He doesn't look any worse than the others behind the top three for sure. I think Haddon's still a step better than him, but it's not anything, significantly worse. I'll put it that way. And the fact that he can be such a key piece on special teams and back up at wide receiver in a pinch certainly adds some value as well. Elton did not sign in his extension. No. Did Melton do much on offense today? Saw you put him as a starter for the offense, but all I heard was his defense today. No, he was a starter on defense, Tom, not on offense. Unless I typed something wrong. Now I need to go check it, make sure I don't need to edit or delete anything out here. Your starters for the day. Oh, I did put him out there. Oops. All right. That was my bad. It was Heath and Hardman. Let me fix that. Playing both sides would have been impressive simultaneously. All right, so yeah. There we go. All fixed. Thank you for pointing that out. It was Hardman and Heath at wide receiver to start, not Melton. Apologies for that. Trying to type too fast. Any dumb question, but can you explain what walkthroughs are for practice? Thanks so much. Not a dumb question, but it literally is what it sounds like. They go through it, they call the play, go through the cadence, they take the snap, and then there's no real rush. The offensive line and defensive line basically just stand up. They kind of maybe if there's like a twist or stunt, they may go through their assignments really quick. The wide receivers just kind of walk or maybe slightly jog through their routes. And it's more of making sure that everyone understands their assignment on the play. So you're going through it slow motion. There's no contact. There's no real play. It's more of just checking your assignment, sure, on the play and walking through it mentally and getting those mental reps in. Good teams player and wide receiver in a pinch. He keeps playing that well at cornerback. He's on the 53. I think that's probably true, Omer. Yeah, there we go. What happened to Travis Glover? All I saw is that he got on IR. Yeah, he's got a shoulder injury and is out for the year, unfortunately. Good on you, Andy. Oh yeah, we talked about that. Andy, what would you predict our record to be in the NFC North? Not sure yet, Adam. I will do a prediction before the start of the season. If you're talking specifically in the NFC North, I'm going to go 4-2. 4-2 this year in the NFC North will be my prediction, I think, for that. I think they sweep the Bears. Actually, I'm going to take that back. I think they probably drop one to the Lions, and then I think they drop one to either Minnesota or Chicago. And I think overall they go 4-2. Much better year this year in the North is my expectation. Kraft is a stud, just going to get better. Love has been sharp since OTAs. He's going to ball out and is healthy this season. I'm right there with you. Are you taking the over or under on Matthew Golden for 67, 680, 5 touchdowns? I'm going to take under on the receptions for sure. I think that's a lot of receptions with all the receivers they have in this room. 680, I would probably take the under. I'd probably take the under on all of those if I were betting. If you told me he hit the overs on all of them, it would not be surprising to me at all. But if I were betting on it, I would probably take the unders. Based on my betting record, do the opposite and take the overs. Definitely not a forte of mine. If I could predict everything, I would be making my living in Vegas. That's for sure. Don't want Love running too much, but he needs to run some to keep the opposing defenses off balance. I think we're going to see a lot more of that this year. All these wide receivers are decent, even the ones on the back end of the roster. Yeah, I do think, again, there's a billion decent wide receivers. So, that doesn't necessarily mean a whole heck of a lot. You need to be dynamic in order to be, kind of a true NFL wide receiver. And that's what you're looking for. I do think they have dynamic ones as well, but a decent wide receiver doesn't get you a whole lot. And that's why a lot of those guys are on the practice squad. Come to the end of the season, who do you think is most likely to get a new contract extended between Watson and Dobbs? I would bet Watson, but I think both of them are up in the air and it could be either at this point, but I would bet Watson. Do you think Kenny Clark is looking like his Pro Bowl self after only 1 sack last season? Heard he made some noise yesterday. I thought he's had some really nice days at practice, but again, when it comes to the trenches, we need to see the stuff play out in games before we get any real feel for it. I'm hopeful, confident, but we'll see how it plays out in the actual regular season games. Golden is going to be wide receiver 1 by the end of 2025. He's already getting all the snaps. Could be. But again, don't sleep on Wicks, Dobbs, Reed. There's a lot of mouths to feed and some very talented players. Christian Watson coming back at some point. It'll be interesting to see how that all kind of parses itself out over the course of the season. Yep, we talked about the Golden Love thing today. Did we ever hear a timeline on Wicks? We have not. I know he's been out with a calf, but do we have a rough idea of when he will be back? Nothing as of note so far. I'm going to try to get through the rest of these chats really quick here. Stackhouse is the UDFA. He's going to make the years 53 doing awesome so far. I think he will as well. Yes, Quay is back doing team. That was a couple days ago now. Yep. No, so he has been out there it's been minimal the last 2 days, but he did the most today that he's done. But he has been back for a couple days doing teamwork now. I'm not too worried about Reed, McKinney, and Jenkins. Feels unlikely all three made it through practice yesterday, then had something pop up. Probably vet rest considering they were just in shells. Yeah. Here's the thing. I was leaning that way as well. Jordan Love, no vet rest. Rashawn Gary, no vet rest. Aaron Banks, no vet rest. Zach Tom, no vet rest. We could probably go on and on, but there were multiple players. Kenny Clark would be a big one, no vet rest. So sure, maybe. I think it probably just has to do with there's probably something that's going on a little bit, and it now gives them like a 5 or 6 day period where they can get some rest and hopefully get recovered on it. But I don't think. And here's the other thing: Packers PR would say vet rest if it was vet rest. That has happened before. There have been specific vet rest days, and they have said vet rest, specifically with Elton Jenkins, where it happened a decent amount last year. No vet rest today. That was not the indicator. It was actual injuries for each of them. Again, there's no need to panic or anything like that. Hopefully all three of them are okay, but this is not just a vet rest situation. Could be, again, a bonus where you weren't going to play them on Saturday anyway, so you give them a couple extra days off, let them get recovered, but definitely not just a vet rest situation. Trans Rights, good to see you. What showed up for the first time yesterday? Wyatt showed up for the first time yesterday. Hope he kept it going today. Didn't see anything from Wyatt, but did definitely have his best day of camp yesterday. All right. M, thank you for the super chat. Sorry if this has already been covered. I haven't heard any reports on how the punting is going so far this training camp preseason. Is no news good news. Waylon's been phenomenal. I mean, there have been a couple punts that I swear to God, he has found a way to have that football defy gravity, that just like hang up and hang up and hang up and hang up and hang up. And you're like, oh my God, is this thing ever going to come down? It's been really impressive. Now, things change when you get out at Lambeau Field. The weather starts to get colder. That ball starts to get harder. That definitely changes it for the punter as time goes on. But Waylon is absolutely kicking the snot out of the ball right now. Not just far, but super high with tons of hang time. Carson asks, what wide receiver do you think will have the best year out of that room? Here's my best suggestion, Carson. Cut out Wicks, Reed, Dobbs, Golden. Those are probably the four, and put the four names in a hat and pick the name out and see which one comes up, or ask a magic 8-ball. That your guess is as good as mine at this point. I think all those wide receivers, and especially when Watson comes back, I think Savion Williams is going to get time. There's going to be a lot of spreading of the wealth. That doesn't even include Jacobs or Kraft. So I think it's an impossibility to predict. I still think Jaden Reed has the most defined role on this team if he can stay healthy. But yeah, this is going to come down to who can get the most snaps, targets, who can stay healthy. And it's going to be very close, I think, at the top. No question about it. Too old for this. I found one grocery store that sold Luigi's. The Supreme was pretty good. Worth the drive. It's more than pretty good, my friend, but glad you were able to find one. And it's definitely worth the drive. When Golden burns, guys, I call that Texas toast. Love that. Rumor has it that Golden Golden had a bad foot at Texas. It's possible. Didn't hear that, but it's definitely possible. Do you think throughout the season, Golden will excel into a true wide receiver one? I'm not going to put that expectation on him for year one, but I do think he more than has that upside to be a wide receiver one, in his career and potentially sooner rather than later. Kamal Haddon was a 6th round pick by the Kansas City Chiefs in 2024, this past year. He did not make it out of training camp. They released him, and he did not sign back with their practice squad. Green Bay was able to get him on their practice squad, stayed on the practice squad through the entirety of the season. He actually got a couple call-ups, got called up to the active roster even before Kalen King did, who was their own 7th round pick, and then signed as a priority free agent with Green Bay in the offseason. And now is, I think, probably in line for the number 4 corner spot, but certainly hotly contested with Melton and Kalen King, Micah Robinson, etc. What's with Hopper? I don't know. What is with Hopper? Yeah, I think he's had a good camp so far. Nothing noteworthy the last couple days, but I'm not aware of anything that's up with Hopper at the moment. Am I out of pocket for thinking that Bo Melton will make the roster? No. Seems like he offers so much versatility in our roster. He essentially is a 3-way player. What else does he have to prove? But he has to go out and prove that he can be an impactful player. It's great that, he is on all 4 special teams, which is probably what is ultimately going to get him on the team. It's great that he has corner and wide receiver versatility, but if he's out there at corner and he can't play very well, Just because he has the versatility doesn't mean much. If he's out there at wide receiver, but he can't make plays, well, it's great that he has the versatility, but it doesn't mean very much. So I think you still want to get him ingrained in something that you feel like, oh yeah, he could be our number 4 corner, or like if he had to step in a pinch, he could actually play, which we know at wide receiver is true to an extent. But no, I think he still has some to prove, but he definitely seems to be trending in that direction to making the 53. Bo Melton is not better than Travis Hunter, but it is a very fun story. I know you said in jest, but I will answer it nonetheless. Why do you think the Chiefs just gave up on him so quickly? I don't know. My guess is they probably thought they could just get him back in the practice squad, and it just didn't happen that way. He went to Green Bay instead, but not exactly sure why. I mean, it's not unheard of. Like 6th and 7th rounders get cut after their first training camp with some regularity. That's not out of the realm of possibility. And I'm sure they maybe just thought like, hey, we'll cut him, we'll bring him back in the practice squad, but goes to Green Bay instead. Again, you're not forced to go to any one team just because they drafted you. Once they cut you, you can go anywhere, and hadn't decided to go to Green Bay. Andy, what's your opinion on In-N-Out Burger? Jordan and Ronica had them cater their wedding, and I need to know if you approve. Very much approve. I think I've only had it once. Yeah, I've only had it once. I did very much enjoy it. I'm a huge Shake Shack guy. When we adopted my son, we adopted him from Texas, my youngest. And what I decided to do, both because you have to stay there for a few weeks when you first adopt. You have to stay there, and then you have to go back there to do to get it approved in court and things like that. And I decided that while I was there, I was going to try every fast food place that I've never tried in my life, because I've got 3 weeks to spend in Texas. What the heck else with a newborn? What else am I going to do? We have to eat. We don't have a house. We were just living out of hotels for 3 weeks. So I tried every fast food place known to man. I did get In-N-Out Burger as one of those, which I very much enjoyed. At the time, I had Chick-fil-A for the first time, but Shake Shack was my true one that I fell in love with. I think Shake Shack is the best. I think it's the best fast food place out there. Like if there was Shake Shack in Green Bay, I would literally be taking up double the amount of screen that you are seeing me take up right now on YouTube. So I'm probably happy that there's not a Shake Shack in the Green Bay area. And the closest one is Milwaukee, because it would be a certified problem if that were true. But really enjoyed my In-N-Out when I got it. Not sure if it's just because I'm paying more attention this offseason or not, but the amount of injuries seems to be unreasonably high. What's your take on it? I don't care about injuries. I care about long-term injuries. That's all I care about. Who right now is like a concern for week 1? Christian Watson? I would assume John Williams is probably in that conversation, and Travis Glover. As of now, that's what we know. We don't know some of the how some of these might linger. We don't know the full details on all of it. But from what we do know, 3 injuries that look like they could affect week 1. It's Travis Glover, John Williams, and Christian Watson, which, no disrespect to John Williams or Travis Glover, it's Christian Watson. So none of that affects me until we get players that are going to potentially miss actual games. And until then, I don't spend any time thinking about it, because this is just very common throughout the league. You're going to have this stuff happen. You've got a 90-man roster. You've got 10 guys maybe right now. It's like 1 out of 9 guys. That seems about right, quite frankly. And that's just what I expect it to be at this point of training camp. Air quality was good today. Thanks for all you do. Houston viewer here. So up to Houston, Boise, Netherlands, and Newcastle. That's a good group. My nickname for Matthew Golden and his vice-like grip hands is the Golden Corral. It's good, Smith. I like that. Carl Brooks was not out today. He was back practicing today. Go from Chicago, another area. Another one in Chicago. Not going to lie, I'm slightly burnt out in camp updates. It feels like stalling until week 1. Not hate on you, brother. Not saying it's you. Just need a personal break. You have the opportunity to show up or not show up, Captain Keebles. That's totally fine. I think you're going to probably be, more excited for preseason Jets Packers, but I think there's takeaways from camp every single day. We go. I think it's so funny sometimes because we go all off season, like who are they going to sign? Who are they going to pick up? And now they're actually out in the field, and it's like I'm burnt out. We're 12 days in. Come on, Captain Keebles, get it together. We're in the thick of training camp. There's actual football going on. But I think, just getting to see this team hit some other players from another team, I think will help the team. I think they're ready for that. And I think, the fan base is probably ready for some updates against some other teams as well. I know I am looking forward to preseason on Saturday as well. But, man, you can never get enough of this stuff. Never, ever, ever, ever. All right. Need to ban another user. Appreciate you still supporting Captain Kebbles. That is fantastic. Most likely to make the 53, Valentine, Heath, Alexander, or Deslin Alexander, that is, or Brinson. For me, it's Brinson for sure. I would put Brinson on the top of that list. Who's the one wide receiver you want back on the practice squad that you know won't make the 53? The only one that I like, I'm going to change your question here a little bit, but to me, the answer would be Malik Heath is the guy that I would, if he doesn't make the team, I really want him back in the practice squad. That's the one to me. We know the 5 guys that are locks plus Christian Watson on the PUP list. Everyone else, I wouldn't lose any sleep over. If you cut Heath and he went somewhere else, that would be a bummer. So if Heath gets cut, would really, really want him back on the practice squad. Anything else, I'm not gonna be concerned about. My guy Julian Hicks. I love Julian Hicks. I would love him back on the practice squad, but I'm also not going to be like, oh, well, he signed with the Colts practice squad. All right, move on. But I would love him back as well. All right. Dare I say he's whaling the ball? You can say that, Joseph. The number of injuries we have is kind of worrisome. Again, not to me, not at this point. To me, this is all about what injuries are going to affect you week 1. And right now, Watson, John Williams, potentially, we don't even know that one for sure, and Travis Glover. So until we get to ones that are affecting the team in regular season, no lost sleep at the moment. Do you think it's possible for 2 wide receivers to have 10 touchdowns this year? It's been a while. I don't think so. Possible, sure. Do I think it's likely at all? No. I just think there's way too many pieces on this offense that are going to be involved in red zone plays and explosive plays. I would be betting against anyone getting 10 touchdowns outside of Josh Jacobs, quite frankly. I think he's probably the only player that I would have penciled in for having the real opportunity to get 10 or more. Just think it's a lofty goal when you have so many pieces that can potentially catch the ball in this offense. With a uncertain cornerback room, do you think they might have interest in bringing in Rasul? Nope. In Giants Wire had a trade for Kayvon Thibodeau to the Pack. Has his name been floated around? I'd be surprised at either of those. I've talked about Rasul quite a bit. Rasul is not Rasul anymore. There's a reason he's still a free agent. Yes, he's had some interest, but he's coming off a really bad year. If you lost a bunch of, if Hobbs was going to be gone for a while and there were a couple other ones that looked like they were going to linger into the season, sure. That would maybe give me some reason to say, all right, let's take a shot at it. But you don't need that guy right now. He doesn't play special teams. He wouldn't play for you on, any early downs because you have those guys set up already. So no interest in Rasul at the moment. And honestly, no real interest in Thibodeau, nor have I heard anything in that regard either. Reno, thank you for the super chat. After the Watson injury, a lot has been made about the need of a deep threat in this Matt LaFleur offense. So what could you say now? All right. After the Watson injury, a lot was made about the need for a deep threat. So what could you say now? I'm not sure I understand your question, Reno. My apologies, but I'm thinking you're maybe saying that they have the deep threats now that they need. I still think we need to see a little bit of that in games, but we certainly have seen Romeo Doubs get open deep. Matthew Golden has that opportunity, and we know that Christian Watson's going to come back at some point as well. So hopefully they do have the pieces that they need to exploit some of those secondaries deep down the field. I think they will. Pass rush has been good. Not great. Sometimes, again, you're picking on the offensive line. If the pass rush gets home, you're excited about the offensive line. If the pass rush doesn't get home, then you're picking on the defensive line. But again, I think defensive line, pass rush, we're not going to know until we actually see it in the regular season. McColl and Xavion were Wildcat quarterbacks. Savion, you mean? Wanted to see that pair with Malik run a 4-minute end of game package. Sure, why not? Preseason probably would be the place to do that, but I don't think you're going to see that in regular season. My bestie loves Shake Shack. Yes, I absolutely love Shake Shack. Craig says, I have 2 Shake Shacks within 10 minutes of me, and yes, it's an issue. Live in Connecticut, what Shake Shack is for you is what coal-fired pizza and Lone Star rolls are for me. Lone Star? All right. Either way, those both sound delicious, and I would like to try both of them. Really dig Culver's, though. Shake Shack moving me less than a mile down the road for me. Culver's is always good as well. Go Pack Go in Portland, Oregon. I can't get Luigi's in Minneapolis. Figures anti-Packer, everything there. Yeah, Minneapolis, just the worst. This is just another reason why. 2 days until Packers football. Billings, Montana in the chat. Go Pack Go, excited for this weekend. And will you do another meet and greet for the second preseason game? Working the first game and unable to see you live. Proud of you, Andy. Appreciate that, Will. As of right now, no other meet and greets planned at this point in time. Just the one coming up 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. this Saturday. Hope to see you guys all out there. Best friend watches the Packers from Romania. That is awesome. Andy growing too big is why, and growing every day. He's earned it. Best Packers content and guests anywhere. Appreciate that, Omer. Listening from Michigan. Live in Minnesota as well. Found Luigi's at the Cub in St. Michael if you're open for a little drive. There you go. It's worth it. Get to the Cub in St. Michael for that Luigi's pizza. Brinson was back today at practice, so that was good news. All right. I'd be a bit pissed if we get rid of Heath. Dude's proven himself already and needs a spot. He's been good in camp, so I actually think he's ahead of McCole Hardman at the moment. If I were putting a 53 together today, I would put Heath on and would have Hardman off at this point in time. Maybe they keep both. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting, but I think I would have Heath ahead of it today. Donovan Jennings to long snapper so we can have our special teams be Waylon Jennings. Settled down, too old for this. I like the idea. Stackhouse and Brinson replace Wooden and Brooks. Maybe next year. I mean, one of those guys, Brooks or Wooden, could easily be on the way out this year. That's possible. But down the road, there's more possibility of that. I don't think you give up on Carl Brooks yet. I think he showed too much as a rookie. And I still think there's a chance Wooden makes this team too. I think there's a good chance they could potentially keep 6 defensive tackles, but we'll have to wait and see. What makes you so confident about the Wicks injury not being a week 1 injury if we don't have a timetable? If you heard what I said, some of these we don't know the timetable, which means they could be week 1, but we have not heard of anything that's going to be a week 1 injury up until this point. Maybe one of these are, maybe Reed or McKinney or Jenkins or Wicks or one of those guys will be, but we have not gotten any confirmation on that up until this point that anything is a lingering issue that's going to go into the season. So fingers crossed it's not. We don't know for sure, but all I'm saying is that right now, the only injuries that we know of that are potentially week 1 issues are Christian Watson, John Williams, potentially, we haven't even heard that for sure, but it seems to be trending in that direction. And then Travis Glover. Wonder what surprise cut happens. We all know it will happen. It's going to be interesting. Appleton, Wisconsin in the house, living in Patagonia, Chile. Love that, Tommy. Thanks for checking in. Heard a lot of Morgan getting worked by LVN, but not really anyone else. I'll take that as a positive for both. He did allow a sack versus Rashawn Gary today. You can get Luigi's in Minneapolis. We'll close. Close. McKenthunes in Waconia. All right, there's another one. Cut down Goody will have roster-worthy players he could trade. I'm putting trades made at 3. How about you? I bet he gets 1. I think sometimes we tend to overvalue players, and every team thinks, every fan base thinks they're going to get some trades for players. I bet he trades at least 1 player for something, conditional 7th round pick or something. I could also see him trading a conditional 7th round pick for a player as well. Seen a lot of people on Twitter say Jordan Love's footwork is still not great. Setting when throwing. Do you agree, or what have you seen? I'm going to be honest, have not paid a ton of attention to his footwork. I think his accuracy looks better and improved. And, I'm not super concerned about it at the moment. Let's see what it looks like in regular season. I think there has been some things he's cleaned up, but I haven't kept a really close eye on it, to be honest. Do you think the starting linebackers for game 1 are Coop, Quay, and Simmons? If so, I think they might be the most athletic group in the NFC. I think that's the most athletic group of linebackers ever to be assembled. I don't think it's in the NFC. I think that's the most athletic linebacker group ever assembled in the NFL, at least fastest. Coop, Quay, and Simmons. I think it's going to be Coop and Quay primarily playing. I think in 4-3, we could see some Simmons. I think we'll see some McDuffie in that package as well. Heath has done nothing to lose his job. Every time he plays, he contributes. Bummer if he is gone. Again, not saying he will be, and he's certainly in that conversation for a spot. Who's my favorite player from training camp, and who is the one who needs to improve the most? I love my guys, Julian Hickson, Deslin Alexander. They continue to make plays. Really enjoying Matthew Golden. I like what Savion Williams is doing. Don't know that I have a favorite player. I want to see a little bit more out of the Carl Brooks, Devontae Wyatts of the world, because I think they have the ability to be pressure players in the middle, and I just haven't seen a ton of it so far. Best backfield in the league, hands down, if Lloyd can stay healthy. We need to see a little bit from Lloyd before we get to that point, but if he can stay healthy and he gets out there and is as advertised, it has the ability to be a really fun backfield for sure. You are more than welcome. Kalen King will be a starter soon. I think Kalen King is closer to being cut than to being a starter, Carlos. We can just, like reasonable minds can disagree. I'm just not a Kalen King guy. That's not anything against him. I hope that he steps up and hopefully he can be an all-pro, and I'll look like an idiot for saying that. I just can't quite get there with Kalen King. Primarily slot guy only, doesn't play a ton outside, allows a decent amount of stuff, will make some pass breakups from time to time. But I think if he's out there as a starter, I think you're going to be probably very dissatisfied with the results at the moment. That's not to say he can't grow into something, but right now I think he's closer to not making the team than being a starter. The starting corner group, Nixon, Hobbs, and Valentine, when they've been out there, has looked the most improved so far. And Igbari is the guy they need to try and get something for. Could easily be the case. They probably need Colin Oliver back and to show something before they're able to make that move, to be honest. Which position group on each side of the ball will you keep an eye on, or maybe a weakness of concern going into the regular season? Uh, I don't know. I guess I'm going to keep an eye on everything. Everything has me worried. Everything has me excited all at once simultaneously. And you guys know me. I'm going to be grading every player and every play, both in preseason and on the regular season. So I will be watching everything like a hawk at this point in time. Linebacker room looks like a hell of a lot better heading into 2025 than it did in 2024. Totally agree with that. Likelihood they trade Malik Willis midseason. The only way that happens is if they don't think there's any chance that he's back next year, and the Packers are like 1-7 at the trade deadline, and some team offers something of significance. You put all of those things together, you get a good pick, your team's out of contention, and you know he's not signing back. That would be the way. If they're 1-7, Jordan Love's probably not playing, and you probably need Malik Willis. So that's another layer on top of that as well. I just really don't see it happening. Who looks really fast out there? Edgerrin Cooper and Matthew Golden. Is Hardman going to be returning kicks? Thought that's why they got him punts. He's not as much of a kick returner, definitely a punt returner. And he does have the opportunity to win that job for sure. But thinking about what the defensive staff would look like next year if Hafley gets a head coaching gig, does there seem to be a clear-cut number 2 guy in the defensive staff to preserve the team's momentum? I think they would open that up. They could go with a Derek Ansley. They could go with Covington. There'd be some options internal, and I think that could easily be the case, but they're not going to limit it, and they would open that up to anyone that would be interested in that job and go through a full interview process if that ended up being the case. Matt Orsic has been legendary so far, and I don't know. He's seemed fine. I thought King was doing better. Guess not. Again, I'm not saying he's not. I do think he looks better than he was last year. I just still think he's probably behind Bo Melton, Kamal Haddon. I think Micah Robinson's looked better than him, quite frankly. So, yeah, to me, I still think that he's got a work to do to make the 53. Whatever happened to the international pathway kicker? Did he ever get his visa situated? He has not yet. Thoughts on, I do have to get out of here, guys, really quick. So in the next couple minutes, if I haven't finished, I've got like 6 left in chat, but thoughts on today's insane catches in the end zone at the end of practice. Love seeing the guys making it happen, and those grabs were nuts today too. They were phenomenal. We talked about it at the onset, but they were really fun to watch. Do they sprinkle a little Tyron Hopper in the rotation? We should rotate the linebackers. I don't think so, but it's not entirely impossible. What are the coaches likely expecting from Rashawn this season to lead the team in sacks and pressures? He's got to be the guy up front. No question about it. We talked about this earlier, Murph. Have not been able to see enough from Banks up front. He's at right guard, by the way. No, sorry, he is at left guard. My apologies. I have not seen enough of him to make a comment on it. I don't have a great feel for him yet, if I'm being honest. I hear Air Canada isn't looking too good. He's made some flash throws. He's also holding on to the ball too long. And you can just tell he's a new guy learning the position. He's practice squad at best is the only thing that he is fighting for. I think Clifford, if they have a number 3, I think it's probably Clifford at this point in time, but they could keep El Gersma as a second practice squad quarterback to continue to develop because of some of the upside that he has, but he's just transitioning. It's an uphill battle for him. And I think you can just kind of see a little bit of that right now. I've not seen Love favored the knee at all. Do you think they will make a trade for Micah or offer? I do not. Like and subscribe. Appreciate that, Mark. Thanks, Andy. Love that you spend the time with us. You are more than welcome. You are more than welcome, Will, as well. And Drew, I knew what you meant. All right, that's going to do it for me today. I've got a billion things I need to get to in the next 2 hours and 45 minutes here. So I'm going to try to get to as much as I can, but I appreciate you guys a ton. Thanks for joining me. Over 500 people here in chat. I'll be posting this to the audio channel as well in case that you guys missed anything. We'll be back tomorrow breaking down everything that happened today, Saturday with a pregame show. And remember, Hagemeister Park, 4 to 6 p.m. in downtown Green Bay, right before the preseason game that kicks off at 7. You'll still have plenty of time to get over the game. Hope to see a bunch of you guys over there and answering all your questions and going over a fun pregame chat and live Q&A. See you guys then. But until next time, and as always, go Pack Go.